Hi everyone, here's a quick video to get you started on learning watercolor lettering. So first off, you know I have a book, The Art of Watercolor Lettering. It has everything you need about supplies, techniques, designs, quotes, and even a few tracing pages in the back with different styles. So it's an awesome way to get a lot of information. This is available in bookstores around the world and online. And now here's a quick look at my 3 new watercolor workbooks. The first lettering workbook is the script alphabet, and the second workbook is the block alphabet. There's a couple styles of block. We're going to look inside of all of them. And the third workbook is words and quotes. So once you learn the alphabets, you can put all of the styles together and practice in here. It's not just the brush script style that you see on the cover. There's lots of other styles that I'll show you soon. So what do you need to practice? You need practice paper. So there's a new KellyCreates grid practice pad. This is a nice, really heavyweight paper. You don't want to always practice on watercolor paper just because it is so expensive, right? So I just save my watercolor paper for projects and also to practice some special techniques. And this paper is wonderful for practicing. Little did you know that you can practice with watercolor paper. Sorry, with regular paper. This is heavyweight though, so it can withstand some watercolor. And then when you want to practice on watercolor paper or work on a project, there is the KellyCreates watercolor lettering project pad. The watercolor paper is 140 pounds. So I have a piece of it right here. And what's really nice is it's nice and smooth. So for lettering, it's ideal. Or if you want to do any stamping and painting, this is wonderful. And it's smooth and also it's white. So a lot of watercolor paper isn't white, and this one is. So I'll put those aside and let's grab my brushes. You can practice with any of these brushes. If you want a quick start though, I highly recommend my black brushes because you just pick up the brush, and I'll show you both, these brushes and these, and pick up the brush and you're ready to go. If you haven't watched my other video, when you get these brushes brand new, there is a ring, a black ring right here. I just opened it up, and you have to take this off completely and then take off the black ring and then put this back on. I did a video on my brushes, so watch that too, and squeeze it tightly back together, and the ink will start to flow to the tip. Okay, you don't have to squeeze that much. It will flow naturally, so don't squeeze it too much and flood the barrel. All right, so these are wonderful fine tip brushes. The water brushes are great too, but I'm not here about the brushes. I'm going to pick up my pre-filled black water brush and open all the workbooks and just show you how to get started. And then I'll show you the other brushes as well. This is the script workbook. So let's open it up to the beginning. Bump my camera there. And you have instructions at the beginning. You have basic strokes. I painted all of these with my watercolor brushes. And after the basic strokes, you have a warm-up exercise with leaves. There's tracing paper inside, just like my previous brush lettering workbooks, so you can paint right on top of the tracing paper and then remove it and then practice on your grid paper. So if we look at this page here, we have I, T, and U. I'm going to place down my tracing paper on top. I have my black water brush. Is this my new one or my other one? I want to use, oh yeah, I've used this one before. Okay, I'm going to take the top off of my black water brush. I'm going to hold it fairly high on the barrel like this, and then I'm just going to trace on top. Oh, first I wanted to show you that you have directional arrows. I don't know if you can see them on all these opening strokes. So you have the breakdown first, okay, and then you just push down, you follow the arrows, release pressure, create your thick and thin strokes. And the black watercolor just flows right out of this pre-filled brush. Push, release, come up, and there is the U. And then what you do after you trace and practice, I want you to go to your KellyCreates watercolor grid paper, and you will practice on here. So the same size, like this, and like this. And paint your strokes close together. And you can see that these black watercolor brushes are just beautiful to work with when practicing. And easy too, right? You don't have to take out anything else, and you don't have to take out your inks or anything, or your palettes. But let's now use the palette and inks and see what that looks like. So here I have the block alphabet pad. So I'm going to use it the same way. The tracing paper is inside. And at the beginning, though, we have different warm-up exercises that you are going to trace and paint. We have shapes, because the shapes are the most helpful thing in order to learn to control your brush. So there's different styles. We have a sans serif uppercase, and then we have a sans serif lowercase. Where's my main pages? Here we go. There we go. And then in the last second half, we have a serif uppercase alphabet. Here we go. And we have a serif lowercase alphabet at the back of the workbook. So lots of different styles for you to practice. Let's take a look at, let's take a look at the exemplar, the serif alphabet. Here's the letter A. I have one piece of tracing paper down, and this time I'm going to use one of my other brushes. So out of the 4 sizes, 1, 2, 3, and 4, you can use any of these sizes. I kind of like the 2 or the 3, so I will grab the 3. And now we're going to, because we're using this brush, we're going to use our palette. I'm right-handed. I'm going to put it over to my right. I'm going to paint with purple. Usually, actually, I just paint. If you're practicing, I recommend just practice with one color. Black is really good. So I'm going to use my dropper, place just a couple of drops in there. I can use it at full strength, or my palette comes with 3 pipettes. I have my glass of water here. So you don't need any of this if you're using the black brushes. But you know what? Using color is a lot of fun. I'll admit it. I added a couple of drops. I tend to dilute all of mine. I don't use them at full strength, but you can. And then you mix them up. And you can see my palette has other colors in it. These are the cool colors from my watercolor ink collection or line. And I just let them dry, and I rehydrate them when I'm ready to paint. So I'm going to load up my brush, tap it off. And remember, I have my tracing paper down, so I'll zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to paint. Oops, I got a hair on my brush. There we go. Just get my water again. And then I'm going to follow those directional arrows with my brush, thick and thin strokes. Put pressure down where you have a thick stroke, and release pressure where you have a thin stroke. So I have this part here I'll do first. Some people actually do this part first. I don't know why I do this part first, but of the A, like this. So you will just continue to trace. And like I said, there are 2 different styles in here. And the cool thing about watercolor lettering is you can mix and match. And then what do you do after you trace? You go to your grid paper and you practice. So I'm going to, I'll just keep my workbook there because it's handy. And then I will practice my A like this. Oh, I forgot this part at the top. And then the other part of my A on the watercolor paper, on the watercolor grid paper. So like I said, you don't have to practice your watercolor lettering on watercolor paper. You can watch your budget and just use this KellyCreates grid paper. So let's take a look at now the third workbook, the words and quotes. The words and quotes workbook is awesome because it takes all of the different alphabet lettering styles you learned, the script, the blocks, sans serif, and serif, and combines them into words and quotes. So we start out with just simply using words. I'll show you. Here's adventure. You have the tracing paper inside, and with the single words and with the quotes, you have directional arrows. And then here's another example of a single word, but this time we have block lettering, uppercase and lowercase. This is sans serif style. Here is celebrate, kind of a mix of the serif and sans serif. So you can be really relaxed. And here's congrats, single words in 2 different styles. You can be really relaxed with your watercolor lettering and be playful. Let's look at the next section. Let's see, page 16 are the quotes. So there's a variety of quotes. There's some that are short and easy with just 2 words. So be kind. If you look closely, you have a script and you have a block lettering with serifs that you follow with the tracing paper. Here's believe in yourself. Create calm is all script. Enjoy the little things. You saw that on the cover. That's all script. Happy birthday is super cute. It is a combination of block and script. So here is one I was working on and doing demos with. Have courage, script, and block lettering. So you can see the tracing paper can take the paint. When it is full, just rip it out. It tears out very easily, just like that. You can get more tracing paper. KellyCreates store.com has tracing paper, or stores all over the world has my branded tracing paper, which is a nice heavyweight paper. So I did this demo last time on Facebook. So I'll use this. I'll use my my water brush this time. This has water in it, and I will use. Let's use the blue here. So this is the cobalt, and you can see it's dry. And what I'm going to do is I am going to squeeze water. So it says push here. I'll squeeze water into my well, push, and just a little bit. And then I'll mix it up. So you can rehydrate or reactivate the watercolor inks, which is awesome. Okay, so I've got my water brush loaded up. I'm going to now zoom in a little bit so you can see. And now I follow, well, you probably can't see the oh, wait a second. There's 2 pieces of tracing paper. There are directional arrows up on this one up here. And this one doesn't have directional arrows, but I know what I'm doing. So I'll just show you the water brush. You just follow those directional arrows and the lines, add on your serifs. And then you can see your brush is drying a little bit. You just dip it back into the ink, get more ink on it. And then here is our O. And the water brush, it's a lot of people love the water brush because they find that they can get super thin and thick lines with it. And but I like both. I guess I prefer a real brush. I feel like I have more control over the water with a real brush, like my wooden brush. But that's simply how you do it. You just keep on tracing. And then what are you supposed to do after you trace? I always tease my students because you know what? Everybody loves tracing. And then they don't go to their practice paper and try it out. So you can practice, like I said, on the grid paper. You can practice on watercolor paper too. Especially if you're going to learn to blend and mix colors, then you will use watercolor paper. But I'm going to leave this to dry, and I will show you a little bit of this lettering on my grid paper. So I have my grid paper, I've taken it out of the pad, I'm using my water brush still, and I'm going to practice my hello. And remember, I'm going to add my serifs, or sorry, my hello. I'm going to practice my home sweet home. So there you have your practice on Home Sweet Home, and I could work on practice this more. I could also start with pencil and put my pencil letters down there. Then I would go to my watercolor paper and practice with my watercolor paper and do my final project. So I hope you give these workbooks a try. I think you will find it really easy to learn lettering with watercolor using the workbooks. And I hope you also paid attention to how often I went and dipped into my ink for pretty much every stroke. So this stroke, sometimes you can get, especially on tracing paper, you can get more strokes than on paper. So just pay attention to that and have some fun. Thanks for watching.